Week 18 in the National Football League is here. And as always, in Week 18 in the National Football League, we have teams that have nothing to play for. We have teams with everything to play for, and we have teams fighting for playoff seeding. For that reason, betting is very hard this week. You can kind of tell by some of the lines which teams are playing their starters, which teams are not. I went very conservative with my best bets this week in cases it's teams that, if they're in or they win, excuse me, they are into the postseason in most cases. Other cases, it is win and we get a better seed. And in one case, it's a legacy defining game. So let's get right into it. We are kicking things off with Steelers at Ravens. Is the Saturday afternoon 4:30 Eastern game. Baltimore is 3.5 underdogs. There's a reason for that. Lamar Jackson and the starters are not going to be playing. They are locked into the number one seed. Pittsburgh does need this game. If they win, they will wait for the winner of Bills at the Dolphins on Sunday Night Football. If the Steelers win, they need Miami to take care of business at home against Josh Allen and co. to make the final seed in the AFC. And in that scenario, they would go to Miami. Ironically, Steelers are running the hot hand here with Mason Rudolph. Mike Tomlin, as I predicted last week, has already clinched that winning record for what would it be like the 16th straight season. Just unbelievable the consistency of the Pittsburgh Steelers. At the end of the day, I do like the Steelers to win this game. Next game, this is going to be my first bet. I like Indianapolis. Now, they are 1.5 point dogs, and I do not understand that line. I like the Colts at home here to quote unquote upset the Houston Texans. The Colts demolished the Texans week 2 in Houston. And yes, that was a different CJ Stroud team. Yes, that was a different Indianapolis Colts team. But Gardner Minshew, we know we get good Gardner Minshew, we get bad Gardner Minshew. Generally, in Indianapolis this year at home, we've got good Gardner Minshew. This is the Colts' second straight home game. And I get offensive coach for the Indianapolis Colts, Shane Steichen, defensive coach for the Houston Texans, though I like him, D'Amico Ryans. I think Shane Steichen is one of the most brilliant coaches in today's NFL, and we're seeing it here. I think he gets Gardner Minshew to 10 wins. I like the Colts plus 1.5, and I think Indianapolis will make the postseason. The winner of that game, by the way, no matter what, does get a playoff spot. Browns at Bengals. This game really does not mean anything. The Browns are going to rest all their starters. Cincinnati is, completely out of it. There's a reason why Cincinnati is a 6 point favorite for money line purposes. I will take the Bengals. Jags are favored by 5.5 against Tennessee. I believe Trevor Lawrence is going to play, though we're not certain of it at the time of this recording. I think the Jaguars do win because if they win this game, they get the number 4 seed. They win the AFC South, and they will host the Cleveland Browns in the wild card round. I do believe that scenario. And what may very likely be Bill Belichick's last game as the head coach of the New England Patriots. They are favored by 2.5 against the New York Jets, and you can say whatever you want. Maybe it's an homage to Bill Belichick. I am going to bet the Patriots minus 2.5. I don't think Bill's into tanking. I think Bill wants to walk away from New England with a win. I think their defense is playing very well. Hell, they were in a one-possession game. If it wasn't for all the turnovers last week, Bailey Zappi had against Buffalo, New England could have won that game. I think that they at least beat the Jets by at least 3. So I'm taking New England and I'm betting them minus 2.5. I'm also betting the Lions here minus 3. Now, if you recall a couple weeks ago, I took the Minnesota side of it. It was actually a Lions at Vikings. The Lions were favored by 3. So it's weird here that it's only 3 points to me. Minnesota is playing musical chairs with Jaron Hall and Nick Mullins. And really, because of that loss to the Packers, excuse me, they are essentially eliminated. I think the Lions who need this game because if they win, there's a chance they can get up to the number 2 seed if Dallas were to fall and Philadelphia were to fall. I think the Lions, again, maybe it's a bad bet. Maybe they rest some starters, though I'm not getting that vibe from Dan Campbell. I may switch this out if it comes out later in the week. The Lions are resting starters, but for now, I'm taking Detroit -3. I think if I were to substitute it out, it'd probably go to Pittsburgh -3.5 against Baltimore. I'm taking Green Bay -3 against Chicago. Packers win there in the playoffs. I think Jordan Love does what Aaron Rodgers could not do last year. And as I keep saying on the Chicago side, we're going to talk a lot about the Bears this offseason. I believe the Bears have convinced themselves that Justin Fields the franchise, and they're probably going to keep Matt Eberflus as well. Let's just say for a Bears fan's sake, again, I'm not a Bears fan, as you all know. I'm wearing a Jalen Hurts shirt today. But for Bears fans' sake, I hope they do not make that decision and they go in a different direction. Tampa, they will bounce back. I am best betting them. It's my last bet. So, yes, I do have 4 bets in the 1 o'clock window. They bounce back. They beat Carolina and crazy owner David Tepper by more than 5.5. Saints, they will defeat Atlanta. I have that in the money line. Again, they will be scoreboard watching essentially because the winner of this game, if Tampa were to somehow fall to Carolina, the winner of this game will win the NFC South. Though I do not think that is happening. San Francisco, I do project, will rest all their starters. This game will be very interesting to see what the Rams do because if Green Bay does defeat Chicago, like I project, in the 1 o'clock window, if the Rams were to fall to San Francisco, they would fall to the number 7 seed. I think the Rams want the highest seed possible. That will be the 6 seed. I think their starters will play. They will defeat the San Francisco 49ers, who will probably be resting most of their players. I have Arizona and Kyler Murray and co. upsetting Seattle. They played very well against Philadelphia. Um, Obviously they defeated them last week. I think Arizona, Jonathan Gannon said they're locked into Kyler Murray. Again, I think it's a mistake, though who knows? They may have played their way with that win against Philadelphia out of the Marvin Harrison Jr. sweepstakes, which they definitely need to. Now, with a win, they will definitely be playing themselves out of the Marvin Harrison Jr. sweepstakes. So, something interesting there to watch. Chiefs at the Chargers. The Chiefs are locked into the number 3 seed. Chargers obviously have nothing to play for. I'll just take Kansas City because I think Andy Reid is a better coach, obviously, than Jeff Smith. Raiders, who will be playing for pride as Antonio Pierce tries to make his case that he should keep that job as the Las Vegas Raiders head coach, and he should. I think they will defeat the Denver Broncos. Then we get to the NFC East. Very interesting here. Cowboys at Commanders, Eagles at Giants are playing at the same time. If by chance, which I don't think it's going to happen, we all know Ron Rivera is getting fired from Washington, but Dallas does not have the number 2 seed locked up yet. If by chance they were to lose to the Washington Commanders and the Philadelphia Eagles were to defeat the New York Giants, the Eagles would be the 2 seed. Dallas would go to Tampa, which is why this game is important to Dallas. And again, if Philly were to lose and, by chance Dallas were to lose, Detroit would go to that number 2 seed. Dallas would go down to the 3 seed. I think Dallas wants to play what we project is Green Bay in the wild card round. Cowboys win, and so do the Eagles. That leads us to Sunday Night Football. The Buffalo Bills, by this point, will know what happened in the Steelers Ravens game. If Pittsburgh does somehow lose to Baltimore, Buffalo will have clinched a playoff spot. If Pittsburgh does defeat Baltimore, like I do project, this Bills Dolphins game in Miami is a win or go home situation for the Buffalo Bills. And just like the Green Bay Packers last year, I think the Buffalo Bills, even though they went on this incredible stretch with Joe Brady, the new offensive coordinator, and I think he should stay next year as the offensive coordinator. I do not think the Buffalo Bills are making the postseason, even though many people right now have them as maybe the third best team in all the National Football League. How crazy is that? My general rule is when you get humiliated the way the Dolphins got humiliated last week by the Baltimore Ravens, you have a good coach, you have a good quarterback, you have good weapons. Divisional rivalry at home, Sunday Night Football, primetime stage. The Miami Dolphins are going to play their best game, especially against Buffalo, they have played in a long time. Mike McDaniel will relish the opportunity to knock the Buffalo Bills out of the postseason. And I think that that is what is going to happen. So, a recap, I have the Steelers defeating the Ravens. I have the Colts defeating Houston. I have Cincinnati defeating Cleveland. I have Jacksonville defeating Tennessee. New England defeating the Jets. Detroit defeating Minnesota. Green Bay defeating Chicago. Tampa defeating Carolina. New Orleans defeating Atlanta. Rams defeating San Francisco. Arizona defeating Seattle. Kansas City defeating the Chargers. Vegas defeating Denver. Dallas defeating Washington. Philly defeating the Giants. And Miami defeating Buffalo. In these scenarios, the AFC wildcard picture will look like this. Pittsburgh will go to Miami. Indianapolis will go to Kansas City. Cleveland will go to Jacksonville. In the NFC, it will look like this. Green Bay will go to Dallas. The Rams will go to Detroit. Philly will go to Tampa. My 5 best bets for Week 18 of the 2023 NFL season are my one dog right off the bat, Colts, Saturday night, plus 1.5. They defeat the Texans. New England, and what very well will probably be Bill Belichick's last game. They cover 2.5 against the Jets. Lions cover 3 against Minnesota. Green Bay covers 3. They get into the playoffs by defeating the Bears. And Tampa wins the NFC South by covering the 5.5 against the Carolina Panthers. Like that clip from the Brands World Podcast? If so, make sure you go down there and hit that subscribe button. While you're down there hitting the subscribe button, make sure to also hit the notification bell so you never miss another upload. And make sure you check out all the other clips from the Brands World Podcast right here on YouTube.